It's time for an OG anti-haul, things you don't need to be buying, incorporating a little bit of this mentality of the no buy for 2025, because my goal is to save money in 2025 for various reasons. I talked about it in this video if you want to go hear more about that, but in this video, I'm going to talk about things that I saw online that we really just don't need to be buying. And my overall goal with talking about these things and talking about things that we don't need to be buying is to just provide an alternative to the dominant stuff that is happening online. The dominant content that you will see on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok is telling you need more and more and more stuff. And I think there needs to be more content telling you that you actually don't need those things. And here's why. So that is what I'm striving to do with this video and overall on this channel. If you didn't already know that, you should probably hit the subscribe button, because this video is kind of the the pinnacle of what the Shelbizleee channel is aiming to be about, is buying less stuff for the sake of being more environmentally conscious, but we're also saving along the way. So without further ado, here are the things you don't need to be buying in 2025 and beyond. Funny how that happens, right? There's this secret thing that solves everyone's problems, and somehow the only time you've heard of it is on TikTok with this convenient little shop now button right there for you. Some of the things on my list are very specific items, but I think a lot of times when I even talk about very specific items, the takeaway is more about the attitude around the reason for buying. And in the case of the first item we're going to talk about is the idea around throwing things away. Specifically, this video talks about throwing away two things so that you can just buy the one to replace it.
Going in the trash. Absolutely not necessary to have two separate things. Why is it 2024 and I'm just now discovering a twofer? We can get a steamer and an iron in one device.
I see no problem if you don't have an iron or a steamer and you find yourself really needing one to buy the two-in-one. It's the way that I see this sentiment and this phrasing online a lot that's like, throw this away and get this instead. And in this instance, it's throw these two things you already have away and go buy this other thing, which, don't get me started on the wastefulness of throwing away something you already have that is perfectly usable. That's an incredibly wasteful mindset to have. The issue of these two devices is not that they're not working, it's that they're not a two-in-one. So throw them away and go spend money on another device that will do the same things those two things are already doing.
Like, it's not the vibe. Stop! Oh God, I can't.
To me, it's such a toxic mindset to get into, that you can always be optimizing your stuff and always be buying new stuff that could be better. And I also think it's really important to like put in our brains that we don't always have to be on the lookout for something better. If the thing that we have is doing the thing that we need, there's no reason to constantly be on the lookout for upgrading those things. And I think that's a lot of what social media content is, especially in this like influencer lifestyle kind of niche. It's those people telling you how to buy the new thing that will slightly make the experience of using it better in some way. When for me, I feel like I need more people to tell me like this, no, you actually don't have to always be on the lookout for the next slightly better thing. If the thing that you have is working, keep that thing. It's better for you to not have to stress about having to get rid of these things and find somewhere to put them in. Just the stress, honestly, of always having to be on the lookout for something new. So it's better for my little brain in that way. It's better for the planet because you're using what you already have and not buying more things, creating a demand for more things, and not throwing something into the landfill. And three, it's gonna save us all money. It is a win-win-win. The only people who win when we are constantly on the lookout for newer and better things are people who are capital owners at the top, who get to take that profit, and in some cases, the people who are trying to convince you to buy that thing. They literally make money off of convincing you that you always need to be looking out for the bigger and better stuff. Another form of consumerism that is just so prevalent is convincing us that we need things that we just don't. I have a few different things in my life that people think is really weird that I just don't participate in because it's so normalized that like you need this thing. For me, an example of that is conditioner. I don't use it, haven't used it in years, and every person who has touched my hair says it's great. I'm not saying nobody needs conditioner. I'm just saying for me, I like to question if the things that I'm told are necessary actually are. And dryer sheets are one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I really don't think we need this, like in general at all. So I guess you could say I would be anti-hauling dryer sheets, but it's more about this ad I saw that specifically targeted at millennials, because I think for millennials, there's also something to be said that's like, as we left our homes and went into college, a lot of us were convinced that college was the thing to do, right? We went into college as relatively broke people and questioned a lot of the things that we bought. That's when I went through a lot of the things that I don't buy anymore. That's when I did that. Dryer sheets was one of those things. And so this ad specifically was targeting millennials and the fact that we are known apparently for not buying dryer sheets. And I wanted to anti-haul the dryer sheet, I guess, but anti-haul this weird guilt-tripping sentiment that's in this video. It is so cringe to me and I needed you to see it.
I heard a rumor that millennials don't use dryer sheets with each load of laundry. So I, a millennial, have partnered with Bounce to tell you exactly why you should use dryer sheets. Dryer sheets help get rid of static cling. They also keep your clothes feeling soft and smelling fresh. If you're drying a large load, which I usually am, you probably need to use 3 sheets. Think of it this way. If you wouldn't run your washing machine without detergent, don't run your dryer without Bounce dryer sheets.
Without Bounce dryer sheets specifically, right? Because it's an ad. So there are reusable alternatives to dryer sheets, which is what we have in my home. There's also the alternative of just not using a dryer, which again is something that I do in my home. But this idea that like static is this huge issue and it just never will go away. I don't know. Me personally, I feel like I don't need to spend money to get rid of static when like static goes away on its own. I definitely do not want my laundry to smell. The scents and fragrances that they put in things have been shown to be not great for us, so I'm just not interested in that at all. And the softness angle, I don't agree with either. I just think that's, how do you measure that? How can you prove that? You can't. That's why they say it very vaguely, I think. But then she finishes out the video with saying you need 3 for a large load, which is just wild to me. I hate the way this was presented. I hate the way it feels, almost like propaganda to me. This ad on TikTok has 50 million views. I anti-haul the whole sentiment, the whole propaganda angle from it. I anti-haul the dryer sheet itself. I anti-haul the dryer, honestly, sometimes. But I digress. Yeah, we're anti-hauling all of that. The next category of things is still companies trying to convince us that we need to buy things, but this one is specifically in the self-care category. Essentially, the category is companies trying to sell us self-care. That niche has blown up over the last, like, I would say 5 years. The idea that self-care is all about what you're buying for yourself has become very, very prevalent, and especially here at the beginning of the year. I got on the Target app recently to go and order my vitamins so that I could just walk in, pick them up. I like to do that so that I don't get sucked into all the other things going on there.
Run, don't walk to
I don't
Target.
think you guys are ready for the Target haul that is about to
I
begin.
had no choice but to take this
We
off.
have 1, 2, 3,
You guys are not going to believe how much cute clothes I found at Target.
6 packages.
But I go into the Target app and the entire front page is full of things suggesting that you need to buy them to be your best self for 2025. It's all the workout stuff, the healthy food, the workout outfits. But it just really hit me as odd this day because it was the beginning of the year and it was just so prevalent, this ask and this insistence that we need to buy things to be our best self. And I think that is a whole category, especially at the beginning of the year, that I wanted to talk about, is that like things you don't need to be buying to be your best self are all of those things. You can become your best self without buying anything new. I love a New Year's reset, okay? I'm not criticizing that idea. I do think, though, it's problematic to think that you can buy your way into that, especially if the idea is switching up your entire routine, all of your habits, all at once at the beginning of the year, and then you think that the only reason you haven't achieved those things in the past up until now is because you haven't bought all these things that Target says I need, which couldn't be further from the truth. You having the right gym equipment won't make you use it. You having the right workout outfit won't make you do it. You having the healthy foods in your fridge sometimes still won't make you eat them. You have to focus on setting those routines and the habits and changing those things in a way that works for you. It doesn't mean that you have to buy the right stuff to get there. Dare I say, if you ask people who have successfully changed their habits and their routines, they did that through like self-reflection, self-work, real true self-care, not through the things that they bought at the Target checkout. Speaking of supplements, this is a very personal one to me. Let me know if you've seen ads like this on any of the social medias, but it's supplements galore. I talk about my anxiety a lot on this channel. It's a huge part of my life. It comes through in my content. I have generalized anxiety disorder. I also have CPTSD. So I'm dealing with stuff. I'm dealing with stuff up here. And I have YouTube Premium, okay, so that I don't see ads on YouTube. I spend most of my social media hours watching YouTube, but I also watch TikTok. And the reason that I find myself less and less on TikTok is because I can't stand the ads. And recently the ads have been trying to sell me that all of those things that I know are going on in my brain, childhood trauma, anxiety, CPTSD, can be solved by this secret new supplement I've never heard of and never been recommended by any of my therapists or doctors. They're gonna solve my entire life. I've seen ads for methylfolate, electrolyte drinks, greens powders, something called nicotinamide riboside. I don't know what that is. Funny how that happens, right? There's this secret thing that solves everyone's problems, and somehow the only time you've heard of it is on TikTok with this convenient little shop now button right there for you. We don't need any of that crap in 2025. We just don't need it. So I'm anti-hauling it. This is a category of unnecessary consumerism, which is the morning shed. People are buying into this concept that you can somehow anti-age yourself, which is, again, not true, not clinically proven. Doctors have come out and said that a lot of these things that people are talking about that's going to improve your life and change your life and make you look young forever is not real. The culture convinces you that like once you turn 30, your worth is just plummeting at a constant fall. And so it is a challenge for me to constantly check in with myself and make sure that that's not really getting to me, because I know that in myself, I don't feel that that is true. But then I start seeing these things where it's like mouth tape and face masks that people are sleeping in and chin straps and hair stuff, and just like people wake up and you can't even tell that they're human. They have so many things on their face in these cases. To me, in my opinion, it's a really toxic mindset to get caught up in, and a cycle that is never ending if you are chasing this like fountain of youth being somewhere. And it's in, of course, consumerism and people selling you this lie that like aging is somehow the worst thing that could happen to you. I would like to anti-haul the entire sentiment around that, and then the incredibly insidious industry that has followed it. This next category is stuff that like no one needs, stuff that was only created because it will go viral on social media. People will be able to click and buy it for a low price for 2 clicks and it's at their door. These are the types of consumerism that just really, really irk me. It just doesn't need to exist. It's wasteful. It's not even something that I think people will use. This specific one is a funnel that goes into a taco holder. Somehow humankind has existed for so long eating tacos without this device. And I'm going to tell you a little secret as to how. It's called a plate. I know it's mind-blowing. Maybe it's a new discovery. I'm so glad I could bring that information to you. I think we desperately need to examine our ease of access to consumerism for things that just don't need to exist in the first place. I think the ease of being able to click 2 things and something show up at your door is the problem, and that consumerism, we've been duped into thinking that things can be made so cheaply because of exploiting the planet and exploiting people. The only way that you see something that's viral online and then you click something twice and it shows up at your door for less than $10, the only thing that makes that possible is exploitation of our human resources, as well as our natural resources. That is not the true cost of anything. It just doesn't, that's not how the world works. This specific item looks like it was 3D printed, but in a lot of cases, there are people exploited that are making these goods and packaging these goods, and even especially today, people who are delivering the goods, people who are delivering these things. A lot of times these things that can get you in the 2 clicks are contract workers who are not being paid fairly. They also have no benefits in that case. The entire system is just so broken. And normalizing this form of consumerism, the fact that the majority of the comments and that this has almost 300,000 likes tells me that people don't think about all of those things before they like something or they buy something. They just see it's viral online and it's cheap enough to where if they buy it with 2 clicks, they won't feel too bad about it. But I think that's why it's important to have the alternative perspective that is, this stuff is not just something silly and little. It will likely end up in landfill. It will clutter your home. It's money you don't need to be spending. It's extracting resources from the planet that cannot be replaced. It's exploiting people along the supply chain for their labor. And I just need to tell you that. because silly little things like this are on my anti-haul list always, and especially for 2025. So if you've seen anything online that you think actually really needs to be included in a video like this, please send it to me. You can email it to me, you can DM it to me, you can comment it down below, you can send me the TikTok, you can tag me on TikTok. I will likely see it. Well, I don't know how much longer TikTok's gonna be here, y'all, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this gives you a different perspective from the mainstream consumerist perspective that's out there. If this is the first time seeing my face, I would really appreciate it if you stick around by hitting that subscribe button. And remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye, guys.